That was Heretic. Possibly this is a religious horror film, but for me it's more of a psychological horror. Two missionaries visit a house to preach the good word, but they seem to have walked into the wrong house. Written and directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, whose previous well-known directing work includes 2023's 65, and writing credits include all the Quiet Place movies up to this point. In light of my recent experiences with horror films this Halloween season, this one is a little different, a little quieter, but ultimately described in a nutshell as suspenseful, bizarre, and chilling. What did I think? I've just seen Heretic. Now, I was going to go and see Venom, right? Venom 3. It would have been one of those weird situations where I haven't seen the other two, and I'm going to go and see the third one, and blah, blah, blah. There's going to be plenty of reviews about Venom 3. The Last Waltz, or whatever the hell it's called. I don't know what it's called even. So anyway, we'll get to Venom at some point, I'm sure. But until that point happens, I've been to see Heretic, because that's what this channel's all about. Go and see something aside from the big stuff, the big releases of the week. Heretic is one of those films. It's a kind of under-the-radar horror movie. And considering it's just been Halloween, it has just happened, literally. It's one of those Halloween-y kind of films. Or is it? How much does the trailer give away? Over the years, we've had a lot of, I'm going to call them terrible trailers. What I mean by that is, the actual trailers themselves are fine, but they give away far too much of the film. Maybe somebody somewhere had a meeting and they were like, why are we doing this? What's the point in giving everything away? And, fine. And I think the trailer to Heretic, it doesn't really give everything away. Gives the premise away, but I guess that's not the whole point of this. And I can agree with that. It's more about why it happens. That's what this movie's about. And you know what? It does it very successfully. Also, by the way, I did go and see this at a local independent cinema right here in this place where I live. Great experience, great independent cinema, fantastic presentation, all of that stuff, all the nerdy stuff done, very good, nice quiet audience, all fantastic. Okay, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here and let's have a think about Heretic. I've just pulled over because of names. I need to get names right. So let's talk about who's in this. Hugh Grant is our main guy, I guess. Well, is he a main guy? I don't know. This is kind of the role he's playing in this. Seemingly nice granddad type. Welcoming, the wife's making the pie, that kind of thing. That's how it's set up. But again, I think probably from the trailer you can kind of guess maybe where that goes. He plays Mr. Reed, owner of the house. So Sophie Thatcher, she plays Sister Barnes really well. She plays her in this kind of, I'd say she's more like, not your typical Hollywood church type person. She's got a little bit more life experience, a little bit more sort of raw, I guess you can say, and a little bit more worldly. I think she's in Yellow Jackets, which is an ongoing series, and Sophie Thatcher plays a very tiny part in Maxine with all the X's. I reckon from her role in this, there's loads of stuff. I'd love to see her do some more roles because she's great. I don't know, she's really cool. Then our other character, Sister Paxton, is played by Chloe East, and I suppose out of the two sisters, as in religious sisters, that she's the kind of more innocent and naive one. She's the one who doesn't have that same life experience. When things start to go a little bit bonkers, it becomes a great contrast to how they behave and what they do. And I've got to say, at least the first 40 minutes of this film had me absolutely gripped. I was gripped. The tension for me was broken slightly at about the 40-minute mark when a couple of things happen. But then what happens, and what I wasn't expecting at that point, was the tension's brought back again. It's really brought back again. And I think that that's quite amazing. You know, when you're sitting watching something and you're like, oh my God, I really don't know what's going to happen. And I feel tense because of it. I'm not sure how they're going to negotiate this situation. I'm not sure how they're going to get through this situation. And that tension held itself for quite a long time. And I never got bored of that. In fact, let's carry on. Let's carry on because we stopped over to talk about who's in it. I mean, if I had a memory, it would be fine, wouldn't it? But I don't have one of those, so it's okay. So yeah, the tension is something that I really noticed in this. Given the time of day, because it's very early on a Saturday morning, certainly for going to see something like this. You know, I went to see this and it's like, you know, you go in the bright daylight of Saturday morning and people are sort of wandering up and down the high street going shopping and stuff. And I go in and watch Heretic, you know, in the dark, pretty much on my own. There wasn't that many people in the screening room I was in. And then, you know, it's all over and you emerge into the daylight and people and all of the same thing as before. And it's like, oh my God, what is going on? The story kind of reveals itself a little bit more because it is a mystery up to that point. And again, I never got bored of that. You know, the utilization of light and sound, particularly in those parts of this film, is what I thought was really unique because, like I say, it is all just kind of set in one place, one room essentially, and it's able to build the tension really successfully because of that. There's a break in that tension and something else happens, you know, something kind of distracts you from what's going on, and it does kind of give you a break. And once that bit's over with, then we start to, you know, I guess the whole point of it all starts to reveal itself. The point of the whole thing is not necessarily the elements of horror that the trailer gives you. It's got something else to say. I wasn't expecting that theological aspect to happen. Wasn't expecting that at all. And it also sort of, you know, adds another layer onto the complexity of the story it's given us. And it's sort of whole themes and ideas emerge from that. And Hugh Grant is really good. Everybody's really good in this, but he does put in a good turn. And you know, you can say to yourself, is Hugh Grant back? I don't know, but he is fantastic in this. And if he does indeed do other things, I think he's a worthwhile horror guy. Kind of like Nick Cage in Longlegs. It's like, wow, okay, you know, where's he been all my life? Now let's talk about what it is in terms of on the horror scale. Is it a horror film? I would say there are some elements of horror in it. And when I say there are some elements of horror in it, I'd say that the themes are what makes this kind of different, I guess, than, you know, standard horror. It's got something else to say about, well, I suppose about organised religion, about what they mean and how people invest their lives in that. The whole atmosphere of the movie is exactly what gives it that sense of dread. I guess I need to talk a little bit about the cinematography. It did draw my eye quite a lot. The cinema presentation, for example, you know, that little independent cinema was just exceptionally good. The cinematography is quite inventive. The framing of certain shots in this and the use of lighting, very, very minimal lighting. I loved the way this looked. It's a CinemaScope again, so it's got a massive wide palette. The way it's shot is gorgeous. Some of the camera angles and some of the isolation in the framing of each character was great. I just love that. For a film that's kind of sparse in terms of its characters, and a film that's kind of sparse in terms of its plays out its story, is the sound design, right? The sound design is great because it's so sparse, muted in a way that when things happen, little tiny noises here and there, you know, all around the cinema, it makes you kind of uneasy because, you know, those sounds in this particular movie, that all the sounds mean something. The score is so well integrated. If it's there, because I can't remember the score, to be honest with you, but if it's there, it's so well integrated into the movie that it doesn't stick out at all. It just adds to the tension of everything. And that's what this is. This is a very tense film. It's very tense. Tense. And that's the word that I've said throughout this entire review. And it does 100% deliver on that. I don't want to give anything away. I don't think I've said too much about this, really. But I will say that, no, it's not a slashery, splattery horror film at all. It's not like that. It doesn't have those elements in it. I'd say it's more of a piece about how people react, and our characters are so kind of easily drawn and well defined. Because easily drawn sounds like it's not a good thing, but actually it is a good thing, because they're so well drawn and you kind of easily understand, you know, how each of our characters are, what kind of people they are, just from the first few minutes of the film, you know? And that's a total thumbs up to the actors in this. Absolutely is. Now, did I enjoy it? Again, you know, it's a horror film. Is it? Well, I don't think so, but is it good enough to be kind of a Saturday night, what the hell kind of thing, which is the perfect place for horror? I absolutely think so. I think this is a great Saturday night film. If you do think to yourself, you know what, Venom, I can't cope, I can't do it, then this is a really good alternative to that. And I'd say pretty highly recommended from my side. I do recommend it. Should you go and see Heretic? I think you should. Make an effort to go and see it on the big screen. I reckon you'll be rewarded with a pretty decent, tension-filled, scary movie, psychological horror, I suppose, you know, with some religious themes going on. So Heretic, everybody, yes, go and see it. 2 thumbs up if we do a thumbs up. 4 stars out of 5 if we're starting to do stars. Recommended if we're doing that. Don't forget to press that like button and subscribe, because, you know, it'd be nice if you could do that. Or a thumbs down. Either way, I'm perfectly fine with that.